Splat Studios, the people bringing you the all-female Seinfeld, proudly presents
TomHanksgiving, right here every Tuesday. TomHanksgiving, come on and press play. There's Elvis, the host with the most, yada 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 yada. With a different guest each week, they're the smart ones. Each episode's a new movie about Tom Hanks, the man himself. Of course, it's time for TomHanksgiving. It's the best you can get. It's the rootinest, tootinest podcast on the internet. TomHanksgiving.
Howdy, partner, and welcome to TomHanksgiving. I'm your host, Elvis Kunesh, and today we're talking about the 1984 Tom Hanks sex romp comedy classic?
Sure.
Bachelor Party. And my guest today is the magnanimous
Oh, wow.
Kevin McShane.
Okay.
Kevin, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Kevin works at BuzzFeed, does the weird couples, a lot of fantastic videos.
And also, I'm a big fan of Tom Hanks, so it works out well.
There's been no people who've come on the show who have been fans of Tom.
Who's
not
a fan of Tom
There's
Hanks?
one guy.
Oh, did you have somebody on?
He hasn't been on yet.
Okay.
But it's Ricky Sands.
Ricky is not a... Wow.
No.
I'm going to talk to him about
We were at a Try Guys shoot, and he was just like, yeah, I think he's kind of overrated.
Wow.
So,
all right.
I haven't been able to berate him for a while, so if you see him, you let him know.
Yeah, I'll let him know.
Yeah, so today we're talking about Bachelor Party, which was, of the list we had left, you kind of jumped at that one.
Yes, absolutely.
Any reason why?
Well, I haven't seen it probably since I was in middle school. And
Okay.
it holds a special place in my heart because in middle school, this was pre-internet.
Yes.
And if you wanted to see boobs, you had to see a movie like Bachelor Party, or you had to have like a friend whose older brother had like a Playboy or something like that. So like Bachelor Party was one of my first exposure to boobs.
No, I totally see where you were coming from, because I think I was like right on the cusp there where like I didn't have the internet when it didn't come quick enough for me when I needed that porn fix.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think my Bachelor Party was probably like Van Wilder, which I haven't seen since it came out, and I don't really care to go back to it.
Were there boobs in that?
There were boobs.
Was that R?
I'm pretty sure that was R. That was...
Was this like the sequel PG-13? One of them was like PG-13.
That one, I'm positive there were boobs in it, because that's the only reason I remember it.
Okay, all right.
Beyond it being just very similar in tone to this. That's at least how my brain is remembering it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense. It holds a special place in your heart.
Yeah.
And you rewatched it today?
Yeah.
How's it hold up?
Do we want to describe it first?
Yeah, let's go.
All right,
let's go to the summary. All right,
for the people who don't know.
Yeah, because I didn't see this until this year. This is my second time watching, because I watched it for the actual holiday.
Right.
So pretty simple.
Yeah.
It's about a bachelor party.
Sure.
Tom Hanks plays a character named Rick. He's marrying Debbie, and he goes to meet his gang of friends, which
and a gang they are.
Yes, made up of Tom Hanks, who is a deadbeat bus driver.
Yep.
But he's got this Avengers style team filled with a pervy photographer.
Yep.
A Neanderthal mechanic,
right,
who just like screams women and charges into rooms.
Just pure id.
Yes.
Yeah.
A wormy booking agent, I think, who has like a pedophile mustache.
Okay, again, pre-internet.
Yes.
Now, for those of you young people who are listening, back before the internet, when you wanted to get tickets to a concert, you had to call a ticket agency or a ticket agent.
Of course,
who helped you get the best tickets for whatever show that you wanted to see. And so, Tom Hanks's one of his friends is this ridiculous kind of wormy little guy who is also a booking agent.
He reminds me of he's like the 80s version of Joaquin Phoenix in Her.
Sure, aesthetically, yes. I think
that's what he looks like.
I think story-wise, he serves the purpose of your Zach Galifianakis from Hangover.
Yeah, okay, for sure.
Anyway. on.
And then just to round out the team, we have an illiterate waiter.
Sure.
His brother, who is a doctor and cheating on his wife.
Not only a doctor, but a proctologist, because proctologist is the funniest doctor.
Yes.
I remember watching it and reading it on the sign. I was like, oh, of course he's a proctologist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why was he getting blood work done at his brother, who's a proctologist?
I don't know.
I didn't even realize that until you said that.
Yeah.
And then to round out the team, we have the returning friend, a burnout druggie,
Right.
who has like every drug under the sun in his little collection.
He's kind of the Hunter S. Thompson or Dr. Gonzo of the
and
if
he's
Dr. Gonzo was depressive.
or maybe realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they gather together for this titular bachelor party, which is going to be crazy, and they send guys to get hookers, but there's the problem with Debbie's family.
Debbie comes from a very well-to-do family, and Rick, Tom Hanks' character, being kind of a ne'er-do-well bus driver, kind of a smart ass and everything, they don't take too kindly to him. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In some of the most cliche ways.
Oh, absolutely.
And of course there's the tennis playing pretty boy ex Gary, I think his name was.
I think his name was.
Oh no, Gary was the Zach Galifianakis character.
Yeah. His name was Brad.
Brad, yes.
Yeah.
Brad, who is trying to horn in on Debbie and get them to break up, so he kind of he tries to sabotage the bachelor party. There's a wedding. Does a bridal shower typically happen on the exact same time as the bachelor party? Or is that just a conceit for the movie?
I think back then it was
the same
usually
night.
Happened on the same night. I think these days
it's probably
a lot of the bachelor parties that I know of now, real bachelor parties, they are joined with the bachelorette party. Like I don't know a lot of people who have just bachelor parties, like all boys bachelor parties.
It's kind of
mixed now.
Yeah,
I think that kind of like old, heteronormative trope has kind of been played out.
And I think a lot of people saw this movie and were like, "Oh, I'm not letting that happen."
yeah, exactly.
But for the movie, they're having the bridal shower and because of course it's not a bachelorette party because that's too sexual for women to have.
Right.
It's a shower, and they're having that on the same night as the bachelor party, except it gets sabotaged. Hookers show up, and they're like, "Oh, now we're gonna go show up at the bachelor party as hookers." It's kind of convoluted.
It's a series of wacky coincidences.
It doesn't
misunderstandings,
which is pretty much all it is until the very end, where it becomes this ridiculous chase sequence.
Sure.
And then they get married.
Yeah. Yeah, spoiler alert, happy ending. Tom Hanks' character Rick does not cheat on Debbie, even though temptation is all around him, and they get married.
I think that's the movie's sole attempt to defend itself.
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's Bachelor Party.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you. When we watched this, the first time I saw this, it was on TomHanksgiving. It was maybe the 6th movie we watched that day because we marathon movies all day.
Sure.
And it was the only one I walked out on.
Really?
I had to take a break.
Okay.
I could not stand it, so I've been dreading coming to this episode.
Really?
Do not like this movie.
Tell me more. Tell me why.
Well, you seem like, are you on the side?
Yeah, because I love it.
You love it?
Yeah.
This is going to be great.
I went back and watched it, having seen it in maybe 15 years, and it's cheesy and it's very 80s. Like it's incredibly 80s. But I loved it, man. Maybe part of it was the nostalgia. Maybe part of it was just it's just a fucking fun.
No. Yeah, I know. And
also, it may have been that I was drinking while I was watching it.
That probably helps.
Yeah.
But that when we had the party atmosphere at TomHanksgiving, it was a crowd. It seems like that's the kind of.
Well, what did you watch before and what did you watch after?
Before,
because if you watched Saving Private Ryan before and then went to Bachelor Party,
we do jump in tone. But I know after we watched, the only thing we watched after to close the night was A League of Their Own.
Sure.
Before, I can't remember if it was The Burbs or maybe That Thing You Do. It was somewhere around there.
Okay, I could see if you came off of That Thing You Do to Bachelor Party, you'd be like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But The Burbs, is similar.
No.
in tone. Yeah.
I know what you're saying, and
it's a better movie.
I love The Burbs,
Yeah.
I will explain why I don't like this movie.
Okay.
But I think it's interesting because I think I'd want to get into is it nostalgia that helps? Because I wonder if I went back and watched Van Wilder or something like that.
There you go.
It would be like, oh, I know this is bad, but I'm able to enjoy it because there's that weird attachment to it. Or is it like how comedy evolves or...
Yeah, I think that's part of it too. I mean, it was kind of like watching a time capsule because I came up, my adolescence was in what I like to call the golden age of the dickhead comedy. You know what I mean? And the dickhead comedy to me is exactly what you think it is. It's usually a bunch of dickheads just running around being idiots.
They're kind of like birthed from Animal House.
Sure. Yeah,
Or-
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Animal House is kind of the first of the trend. It kind of crested in the mid to late 80s and then kind of petered out as like irony came in and everything like that. And so, wonderful examples of the genre are let's see, like the Police Academy movies.
Which the writers had some hands in
had
this,
something
which
to
makes
do.
sense.
One of my favorite movies of all time, which I consider like the pinnacle of the dickhead comedy, is Weekend at Bernie's.
I've never seen Weekend at Bernie's.
Do yourself a favor. That is a fantastic movie.
I imagine
it is literally two dickheads running around for like 90 minutes.
Yeah, but I've watched that. There's
Yeah.
different versions of that. Nothing's coming to mind, of course, other than like Jay and Silent Bob. But
yeah, I mean, some of the later ones, like the latest example of like another movie that I really liked that came out recently, well, not recently, but was Dude, Where's My Car?
I never see Dude, Where's My Car either. Not
have
enough Tom
seen
Hanks.
So many dickhead comedies.
Maybe there's a reason. Maybe
I'm gonna make you like a playlist of dickhead comedies that you need to see.
we'll do a spin-off podcast. It'll be just dickhead comedies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And now I'm wondering if it's like maybe the reason I'm so averse to this movie specifically is because I don't know. At some point, it's just I'm not the audience for me. I don't feel like I have any problem with like material that gets really dark or offensive.
Sure.
I love South Park.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was thinking of is like it's not quite dickhead, but it's in the area with Wayne's World.
Yeah.
But
Wayne's World is really smart.
That's
There's some cool satirical stuff in it. I think maybe the problem that you have with it, in part at least, is that Bachelor Party is completely sincere. There's no irony to it.
That
you know what I mean?
I think that actually is my problem because like Volunteers, another Tom Hanks film. Have you seen that? I really enjoyed that film, and that was another one I had never seen until I started doing this podcast. And I feel like it has kind of the same dickheadish humor, but the
but there's kind of an underlying cynicism. To it.
There's a cynicism, and the techniques of the filmmaking are kind of they're poking fun at the asshole nature that Hanks, and then the film like. It's a small arc because it's still mostly just a comedy, but it's like, oh, we see him get to be a better person. He's actually helping these people. There's something there. Whereas this, you're right, it's completely advocating, glorifying.
I don't even know if you need to look that deeply into it. You know what I mean? It's just like it's like a fun romp. You know
I get that. Yeah, I do get that.
And like I'm watching it last night with my girlfriend, and I was like, who is this movie for? I think about it, and I'm just like, I can't imagine being older than like 15 and wanting to see this movie.
I think that. I think it was made for kids who were not they had no access to porn.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is a rated R movie. It has to be. So like. This was
like,
you had to sneak
being
into
18
it
and being like, let's go see Bachelor Party, man. But
there's a lot of stupid 18-year-olds. I probably would have done something
but
like
this
that.
But again, this was also pre-internet. This was pre-9/11. This was age of sincerity, man. It was the 80s. You know what I mean? So.
You're right. Yeah, and I guess that's something. If you wanted to describe it as a positive trait, like the movie is nothing more than it purports to be.
Yeah.
But I guess what it is I don't like, and I can't tell if it's because I'm at this point where, like, I see all of the racial, the racist, the sexist, the transphobic stuff that's in there that doesn't play in new movies. But you also have to be like, well, this is
the product of its time.
It's the product of its time, and there are still some of my favorite movies that probably have some of those terrible things in there. No examples come to mind at the moment, but is it just me being like too of this current pop culture lexicon?
I think so. I think so, and I think that's you know what I mean. I can't fault you for that. You know what I mean, because it's like you have a completely different frame of reference than somebody like me who's a little bit older, you know, and still remembers a time when it was like, all right, the pimp's like a cartoonish Indian guy, like that's fine.
I will say, I do have a list of things I liked in the movie.
Okay, all right.
And the casting of the Indian pimp and his bodyguard, just the physicality of them was great. I love that.
Oh, absolutely.
All right,
so what did you like?
All right, well, let me, because I feel like I gave you an opportunity to just say it's because of your generation, that's why you don't like this. Okay. I do have a couple other things. I feel like even if it's not the subject of the jokes, most of the jokes in this movie are poorly executed.
Oh, absolutely.
They fall so flat.
You can see them coming a fucking mile away.
You really can.
Like when they're looking at Brad's car from the hotel room, and they're like, "Oh, look at his car," and then the fucking mechanic guy runs off. Like, all right, you know what the fuck's gonna happen.
I mean, I didn't expect it to be painted,
right?
But you knew
he did that really fast. By the way,
yeah,
he did all of that in like 20 minutes.
The telegraphing of that, like Hank's looking at him, and like how could Brad not see what was coming?
Right.
Maybe audiences were just slower to movies that way back then.
Yeah.
The execution of the jokes fall so flat, and so even if it's not like even if you look past the quote unquote offensive stuff, I think it's offensive as a comedy. It needs to try harder.
Sure.
And like the worst example of that is I think the ending, which and I'll get to. I promise I'm going to get to the things I like,
okay.
Which is the bus. Actually, is a big thing of that. But the bus's biggest payoff, and kind of the druggy character's biggest payoff, is like he bursts through the 3D screen. They're watching a 3D movie. That's where the climax takes place, and then the bus bursts through, and it's like whoa, and it's almost a fantastic gag. It's almost like the big huge thing, but they just squander it because it's like. The perfect version of that for me in my head is like they're having the fight with the guy and it's like, oh no, Brad's finally got the upper hand, and then the bus crashes in and like smashes him.
I see what you're saying.
Maybe a little too brutal, but the problem is they finish the fight and then they cut out to him, and it's not like they cut to him during the fight and it's like, oh wait a minute, and then he starts driving the bus. Right. It's like they cut out to him, he's driving the bus, he's still driving the bus, and then he crashes in.
You could completely cut that bit out of the movie and it wouldn't affect anything at all.
No, it wouldn't affect anything at all, but even if you wanted it to not affect anything at all, just make the pacing so it's not like we're seeing exactly what's coming. It's like, give us 2 seconds to forget he started driving it and he's probably going to come through the wall.
Yeah.
Like, a great gag, the worst execution.
Sure. But what about, if we're talking about gag execution, Brad's butt in the moonroof of the two people.
Pretty
good gag. You saw it coming a mile away, but when it drops into frame, you're like,
actually, the timing of their faces hitting his cheeks.
That's good comedy.
That was good. The physicality of that is one of the things I liked. But I think the problem was like you saw it coming, and then the version where you knew he was going to be at the window much less. But no, you're right. That was good. A couple other things.
By the way. Little IMDb thing you all can look up. One of the producers, one of the Israel brothers. I don't know which one.
Rob.
One of the two.
Neil is the director.
Is the screaming man in that scene?
That's good. Okay.
All right. So what
should I get to? What I like?
What did you like?
Okay. First and foremost, shout out to Wendy Jo Sperber.
Yes.
Who is was a regular in Bosom Buddies. Tom Hanks. We haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah.
She plays Marty McFly's sister. Linda in Back to the Future.
Yep.
Always been a fan of her, mostly from Back to the Future.
Yep.
But it was great to see her in this. I think she's my favorite character.
She's great.
And she actually gets some good gags. Like we get introduced to her. She's also a proctologist.
And she just casually has the finger up the dude's ass.
Yeah, and then she comes and shakes the hand. It's such a juvenile joke, but I thought the execution was great. It was like, especially after like the jokes with the brother were really rough, and it's like, oh my god, like first genuine laugh I think the whole movie.
Sure.
Loved that, and just kind of like she didn't have a whole lot to do, but like when they gave her something to do, it was like, it's a little typical for this character.
In
but
the end, when she fucking beats off the cops and then starts
beats
beating on like they do the thing where they hold her up and she mule kicks the cop. I'm like, that's amazing.
Finally, some justice in this movie. Yeah. I was on her side the whole time, so very glad to see her.
Yeah.
And then what else? I thought the introduction of Tom Hanks was pretty decent. He comes, picks up, and fairly typical, but
here's the one thing that I didn't like about the movie.
Yes,
was I felt like with Tom Hanks's character, they couldn't decide, or they didn't want him to be too much of a shithead in the beginning. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like knowing Tom Hanks and who he has become.
Yes.
You know, it's
America's dad.
Yeah, it's very hard for me to see him in a kind of a shithead role. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I feel like the filmmakers felt that as well. They were like, this guy comes off really nice.
Yeah.
So we don't want to go all the way with making him like a shithead, you know? And I kind of wish they had done that, because then his arc would have been a little bit bigger, you know? Because I never... Here's the thing. I never doubted for a second that he wasn't going... to
be the great guy.
I never doubted for a second that he wasn't going to cheat on Debbie.
Yes.
Like, I was like, oh, he's going to avoid temptation the entire time. Mm-hmm. But it's like, you know, make him a little bit more of an asshole in the beginning. You don't really know where he's coming from. And then when he actually makes the decision to stay true, then you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's like we see something.
Yeah.
All right, well, if you want to get into Hanks, we'll put the tiny list of things I was going to say.
We'll stick a pin in this and we'll go to Hanks.
All right, because I think I agree with you in the sense of like, but now I'm asking you the question: is it his performance, or is it their direction, or is it a miscasting? Because you could easily throw in someone else and have that arc.
I think it's miscasting, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to look up. There was somebody who was considered for the role.
Because this was right after he got the success of Splash.
This was post-Splash, so he played a nice guy.
Yeah, and he was great in Splash. Yeah. I think one of his best early roles. Yeah. Easily.
Yeah, I'm hold on, give me a second while I look it up. But
I'll say this while you're looking that up.
Paul Reiser was originally considered for the lead roles.
Paul Reiser seems like a kind of nice-ish dude, too.
Yeah,
maybe young.
But, I mean, you've seen Aliens.
True.
He can be a shithead.
He can be a shithead, but he comes off very businessy shithead. He doesn't come off like pig-headed shithead.
Other people who were considered for the role, Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, I could definitely see.
Much more. But he wasn't a name back then. Howie Mandel.
Very Hanksy. They got the same hair.
Yeah, and Tim Robbins.
Too tall.
But I feel like Tim Robbins could do it, because I feel like young Tim Robbins, like think like Bull Durham and stuff like that. Like, you don't really know where he was coming from.
But Tim Robbins is always like, dude, this guy fucking kills wife and children. I don't know. I think the worst part of that movie is actually when we get confirmation that he definitely didn't kill his wife. Yeah. Kill all the tension. Like, I love this ambiguity.
Yeah.
But this isn't the TomHanksgiving podcast. This is the Tom Hanks.
All right.
So bring it back to Tom Hanks.
Back on track.
So I could see it as a casting thing, but this is still early in his career that they don't know that he kind of plays this standard good guy.
But he comes from Bosom Buddies. He comes from a sitcom world.
Yes.
He's very clean, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's a very, like, clean all-American white guy. And I just feel like if they had cast...
Now, here's the thing. I don't think that he couldn't have gone farther with it. I think this is... because he has played villains later in his career, and he's very good at that. And he plays despicable very well in Volunteers, which came a little later. Sure. It wouldn't be as despicable as this, but he's definitely got that very, like, we're guy, I'm a guy. He can play this kind of Scott Turner and Hooch.
Sure.
Although, with that, you feel it's not, like, obnoxious because he's good at his job too, so he's got that balance. Yeah. I think I don't want to say that he couldn't have. Maybe he couldn't have at this point in his career, although it seems like with Bosom Buddies he could have.
Right.
The one thing I'll say, and I've seen a lot of movies, a lot of Tom Hanks movies, obviously, and we've talked about many ones that I don't care for. But I always, even the ones that are like excruciating, I think he's good in them. And I think this might be my least favorite performance from Tom Hanks.
Really?
And I think it's partially the fact that he's a little miscast. And the other reason I was thinking of was, I hate this character. And I don't know if it's because they didn't quite decide if he should be shittier now that
Right.
you're introducing that.
Yeah.
Like if he was full on like John Benjamin style
Right.
misogynist,
Right.
then he's kind of reveling in that versus kind of like this more manipulative, like I'm a nice guy,
Right,
which is
right.
evil-ish Tom Hanks. But the thing is, I hate this character so much that I can't tell if he's doing a really good job. Because if
Sure.
I met this person in real life, I would think this guy is an asshole.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe he's so good that I hate him.
Interesting.
How do you?
So this
based
might
on,
actually be his best performance.
maybe because
Yeah.
this is the performance that made me hate Tom Hanks, my hero. What does that mean? What do you rate him?
I think it's mostly. I think he does well with what he's given. You know what I mean?
he's not given a lot to
He's
do.
not given a lot to do, and he basically. I think what he does is he falls back on his like charming smartassness. And I'm not sure that that's what the character needs.
I noticed there's just a lot of scenes, pretty much every scene in this movie. It's just him throwing out as many lines as possible.
Yeah.
It's like, is any joke sticking?
And it's
it's obnoxious.
The other thing that I noticed is that it's a lot of like patronizing talk and then clapping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, it's great to see you, lovely, great job.
He's playing that class clown who was not funny in high school, but got all the attention.
Sure.
And I don't know, maybe that's another reson why I hate this character.
Oh, really?
But
Getting into some personal.
there's always personal on this show.
All right. Okay.
But and obviously there's this whole like weird things like, oh, I get to see him be so insidious. Is that just me bringing in my baggage because it's like a slight hero worship with this
Sure.
guy?
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite that. I think it's just this character's shitty and.
Like, how would you feel? Like, just play like a mental game of like if he was a real shitbag.
Like Tom Hanks in real life?
Whoa.
That's impossible.
Yeah, exactly. No, but like think about like the brother character. The brother character is a legitimate shithead
He
because
cheats on his
straight up
wife.
cheats on his wife.
Excited to do so.
Yeah, exactly. Like, gotta get me out of this. Like, what if he was dark? What if Tom Hanks' character in this was dark like his brother character? Would you like it more or less?
I mean, that's a whole different movie.
Yeah.
I want to say I think I would like it more because I feel like they would have to deal with the consequences.
Right.
And like I don't hate Tom Hanks when he's playing someone despicable.
Mm-hmm.
I just hate that he's kind of like, again, this glorified asshole who's like, he's instigating all these douchey things, but he's just good enough to be fine.
Yeah.
Like, and obviously like roguish, and I can't tell if
it's a hard needle to thread because you want to be sympathetic with him.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because he's the hero of the movie, so you can't have him go too far. But I feel like they kind of backed off a little bit. I think I almost feel like the filmmakers underestimated how much sympathy we can have for an inherently unlikable character.
That's true, and especially, I mean, one of the things we continue to talk about on this podcast is when you cast Tom Hanks, granted this is still very early in his career, but when you cast him, you just get so much audience sympathy because that's even without like Tom Hanks, I love Tom Hanks, even without before that, he just has that innate quality to him where he's like, I get this guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're probably right in that they could have pushed it further because it's like, we're just going to follow this guy off a bridge if that's where he's going.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think the execution of the movie, there's so little he does. Like, I don't know why she likes him at all. And let's talk...
Because he's funny.
Is he? He never says anything funny.
He's a good cook.
He's not a good cook. He's a terrible...
Oh, wait, you're right. We've never seen him be a good cook.
The one thing I thought was funny that like I could see as a very cute thing was when he had the welding mask on, they kissed. Like that seemed genuine.
Sure.
That was the one moment of their relationship was like, I like this. I could see them together.
Okay, all right.
But the whole bringing like, oh, you like lumpy potato salad? It's just potatoes and salad. It's like, no, you're not funny. Stop telling these awful jokes. It's like dating Fozzie Bear. And now I like him more because I like Fozzie.
Sure.
But Fozzie we like because he's so pathetic and the world treats him as such.
Right.
And I think that's my problem is there's this dissonance where it's like, this guy's not funny, he's not charming, but the movie treats him like he is.
Okay.
Am I going too far? I don't
no.
want to.
No. I think that's a very valid point.
Am I bringing you to my side? You hating this movie?
You kind of are. No, listen, you're not going to get me to hate this movie. I fucking love this movie. But I do see what you're saying.
Okay.
But I also think that he was also miscast.
I think you may be right that if you had someone else who plays dirtbag better.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of somebody from that era who would be.
Who would you cast now if you were gonna? Because
who would I cast now?
They did actually have a little side note trivia. There is a sequel, Bachelor Party 2.
Okay,
it's really a number 2. It's a straight up sequel, except only in name and probably the exact same plot. Mm-hmm. And they made it like within the last 10 years. I want to say.
Who was the lead in it?
No one you've ever heard of. Right. It wasn't like a Genius where it was like Colin Hanks and it's his son.
Sure.
Because that would have
been funny.
I would have loved that, even though I don't like this movie.
Who would I cast now? The person that I keep thinking of is like Jeremy Piven's character from PCU.
I'm not familiar with PCU.
I'm going to send you some of them. Yeah, because Piven plays like a shithead who's also charming. But he's a legitimate shithead and kind of gets away with. I see
that. And for some reason, like whenever I think of Jeremy Piven, I think of him playing TV George in Seinfeld first.
Okay.
Because that was my first exposure to him. Yeah. And like that guy, maybe he needs the hair, but like perfect for. I can see that.
Yeah, but I can't think of anybody of Tom Hanks era 1984 who I would want to put in there. Because again, it's just hard because you want somebody likable, but. I don't know. He's too likable. His likability works against him in this movie.
I think you could have it where maybe you're right in the sense that there's. I have problems with like how he's not funny and he's just kind of obnoxiously spewing things out. But maybe a lot of it does stem from the fact that there's no drama because you never believe for a second he's gonna cross that line.
Right.
He just wants to have a fun night with the guys, and like the guy, he has some bad choice in Friends. But like even like when the burnout shows up, he goes in the bathroom. It's like, of course, you know.
Yeah.
He's like I'm trying to think like The Hangover is the closest thing that's like a modern movie that I liked.
Right.
That's kind of a shithead comedy.
Right.
It's a little more clever than this. There's a mystery aspect to it that
has
more going on. But and even the sequel had transphobic humor. So and I didn't think it was funny there either. But like, which character was he? The Ed Helms character then?
No, because Ed Helms' character is really milquetoast.
So Ed Helms would be the Gary character.
Yeah.
So he's Bradley Cooper then. Bradley Cooper. See, almost it's interesting because Bradley Cooper's married in that movie.
Put Bradley that's actually a great example. Put Bradley Cooper
in Bachelor
as the
Party.
Tom Hanks character, and now I think.
I think it does work a little more because Bradley Cooper, he seems a little bit more like a douchebag.
Yeah,
but I kind of
don't know which way
buy
it's
it.
gonna go. Yeah.
Yeah, even though, and it's interesting because he's definitely good throughout that entire movie. But I think the first Hangover is like, oh, maybe he will cheat on his wife.
Yeah,
and he never does.
Yeah.
Huh.
There you go.
Solved. This movie needed a little Bradley Cooper.
Just needed some Bradley Cooper, who was he's like my age, right? So he was probably like 6 when this movie came out, maybe a little older. Anyway,
they had a Bachelor Party too.
Well, there you go.
Okay, so that's the type that maybe this is how you could have fixed this movie.
Sure. Great, we fixed it. Let's get in that time machine. Go
Perfect.
Back. Neil, listen.
Man, I feel like we had our big conversation like. Maybe in the middle.
Did we blow our load here?
We maybe blow our load a little too quickly.
Well,
much like the movie does. You were about to say.
I was going to say. Okay, so let me give you some reasons why
you love this movie. Please.
Okay, so the team behind it: Neil Israel, Pat Proft, and
Rob Israel.
Bob Israel.
Sorry, Bob Israel.
They are the team behind not only the Police Academy movies, which I love because I love dickhead comedies, but also they are the team behind perhaps my favorite comedy of all time, Real Genius.
I've never seen Real Genius. I'm sorry.
Damn it, Elvis.
I'm sorry.
Come on, man. All right. Real Genius was after this movie. It was '86, and it's Val Kilmer. And Gabe Jarrett, who hasn't done a whole lot since, and
Val Kilmer.
It is vintage Val Kilmer. Like he plays this character Chris Knight, who after seeing this movie, you're gonna want to be him. He's so smart and he's so cool, and it's it's the same kind of, you know what it is? It's a similar kind of like quippy Bugs Bunny, you know, kind of raconteur character as Hanks. But he pulls it off, and it's justified because he's the smartest character in this school, at this school. He's a
That makes
genius,
sense.
You know what I mean? And he's a smart ass, and it's...
I think that's why Hanks really works for me in Volunteers, is he's really smart.
Right. And it's like when you're the smartest guy in the room, you can be a little bit of a dick and get away with it.
Which is another weird thing, is it's like the House effect, where it's like American media loves smart assholes.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and
But anyway, do yourself a favor.
Real genius.
Real genius. It's amazing. It's so good.
I would love to see a good movie from these people.
Okay, well, let's... yeah, I mean, I'm looking up...
But that's you compare... Like, I like these filmmakers who made this movie. It's not quite in the same territory as why you like this movie.
Okay, well, it basically all because of how it relates to Real Genius. Because the bad guy, Brad... he also plays the bad guy in Real Genius. And I forgot that, and when I watched it again, I was like, holy shit, it's Kent from Real Genius, and I fucking flipped out. But I mean, this cast is fucking amazing. I mean, you got Tawny Kitaen, again, not to be too nostalgic, but for anybody from my generation, Tawny Kitaen was like responsible for a lot of guys' like sexual awakening. She is... most well known for the video "Here I Go Again on My Own" by Whitesnake.
Oh yeah,
she's the one in the white dress dancing on the car, which is like seminal for like Gen Xers. It's amazing, and just seeing her in this movie when she's just young and just beautiful and just, you know, it's just like, oh, you fall in love with her immediately, you know. And it's like, I would never cheat on her either.
How could you?
Exactly, and you know, you got Adrian Zemed, T.J. Hooker, if you watched that back in the day.
And he was in Grease 2?
He was in Grease 2, which I never saw. I know him from T.J. Hooker.
Yeah.
And he was great in that, and he performs a song. He has a song on the soundtrack here. You know what I mean?
Oh, he did. Okay,
party. That's him actually singing.
That's great.
With
okay.
The band. Also, okay, while we're talking about like the band and the music stuff.
Yeah, there's a real band.
There's a real band, which apparently I guess they were like trying to make big at the time or something like that. Like a lot of '80s movies did that.
Yeah,
where they were like, okay, who's the hot band at the time? Let's actually put them in the movie. You know,
it totally works in this movie though. I do appreciate that. Like, it doesn't feel shoehorned in. It's like this, even though it's like people just start showing up at this hotel room now. But like, whatever. That worked for the movie.
Sure. And then also in terms of music, the end credits song, the theme song,
Bachelor Party.
Oingo Boingo.
Yeah, I did notice that. Danny Elfman, he did a couple songs.
He did a couple songs for the movie. Oingo Boingo. Also, during this period, I feel like all of these people just like continually work with each other. But Oingo Boingo did a bunch of soundtracks, a bunch of like dickhead comedy soundtracks. The one that came to mind is Weird Science. Never seen that either?
No.
Damn it, Elvis. Oh, my God. All right, so Weird Science.
You put him to shame this podcast.
So Weird Science, again, prototypical dickhead comedy because it's literally two dickheads running around. They create a woman, Kelly LeBrock.
Yes, they invent their perfect
their
girlfriend.
Live sex robot.
Yeah.
Whatever. And Oingo Boingo has...
Sounds like a classy movie.
Oh, it's very classy. And Oingo Boingo does the theme song for that, and that song is a legitimate 80s jam.
I want to listen to it. I'm going to listen to it tonight.
I mean, it's basically the same as the Bachelor
Party.
Yeah. But it's Weird Science, and it's fucking great.
So I got to say, before we move on from the credits music.
Sure.
Did you watch the entire movie, to the end of the credits?
Yeah.
Did you notice that the music stops 45 seconds?
Yeah, and they're just like, it's good, just let
That's how I feel the whole movie was. It's like, it's good enough.
Yeah.
We don't need to put in any more effort.
Listen, you guys. Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think who else. Like, there's all a bunch of, like, great character actors in this movie, man. Like,
I will say my favorite moment with Hanks is on the chase. It's once it becomes a chase scene and they get into the movie theater.
Sure.
And there's like 90 screenings.
Yes.
Or 90 screens.
Okay, we figured this out last night. Again, me and my girlfriend watching this last night. She was like, boy, this must have been like a really funny joke at the time. You know what I mean? Because they see like all of like the
Yeah.
map of like the multiplexes, and I was like, you know what? You're right. Like about that time, 84 or whatever, was when like the multiplex like became a thing. So like this is like the topical humor of the day. So like the audience is watching this, so there's like, oh yeah, multiplexes are crazy
Because they probably got lost on the way to their theater.
Yeah,
Even though
exactly.
Yeah.
Even though you don't think about it today, you know what I mean? Like they're so like, common. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. That gag didn't work for me specifically, maybe because it's like I'm used to.
It's so dated. Yeah.
But I didn't realize it was a dated joke. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, that there's that moment where he comes in and they're like, basically, sometimes, if I remember, we kind of try to pull out if there's like a Hanksiest line, and that's when he's at like peak, like yelling kind of Hanks.
Yeah.
And it's right here. It's at this moment where he's got the team and they're like, shit, there's too many ones, and he goes, oh, this is great! Let's split up! And like, as soon as he said that, I jumped up and it's like, it's Woody! I'm sure they said that in one of the Toy Story films.
Yep.
So
Yep,
I was
totally.
engaged for the rest of the movie just because of that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. What else? What else? Man, what else did I love about this?
I'll say a couple of other things
Okay,
I liked.
all right, okay.
I really, like, again, I think this is, again, it's I have a smart reason and a dumb reason for liking
Okay.
it. Dumb reason is just him driving around in a bus the entire movie. Funny. It's a good gag.
Sure.
A creative use of the vehicle, and I really that we kind of dived. Went to a big tangent when I brought up the beginning of the movie and his introduction of the character. I think it's more just like I thought it was an interesting job. You don't see bus drivers as main characters.
That's very true. Yeah.
It functioned, and then it was just like a perfect like excuse for why they were driving around this very large vehicle. But for the smart reason why I like it, because I got to bring that into it, is it felt like there's that scene where they valet the bus at the hotel, and they're all running out for the bachelor party, and it's like it's the perfect symbolism because they're all just 15-year-old boys.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
great.
I mean, and that's I get it. That's who this movie's for. I'm a little too old for it.
Absolutely.
But I think you could do a better job. I think the 15-year-old boys deserve a better movie than this.
No, this is the perfect movie for 15-year-old boys.
They could make the
Trust
jokes
me.
better, even if
Trust
you don't change the jokes. Make them like filmmaking. Come on.
Yeah. Well, and in terms of filmmaking, let's talk about that for a second. This is, like most broad 80s comedies, is overlit as fuck. This is the brightest
There's essentially
movie I've
no
seen
lighting
in a long time.
because it's all light.
Even the night exteriors are so fucking bright that I can't even deal with it. Like that. Like the hotel room is clearly a set.
Yeah.
And it's actually really interesting. I noticed that so the hotel room, the main hotel room is clearly a set, and then when I want to say Brad, but I'm looking at it right here. The character that we've been calling Brad is actually named Cole.
Cole is the
And, yes,
douchebag, yeah.
And the actor's name is Robert Prescott, and he also plays Kent in Real Genius. Okay, so anybody who writes or tweets in, we fixed it. All
Yeah.
right, footnote.
No prize for you.
Exactly. All right. So anyway, so the main hotel room is a set, but then when Cole goes to the hotel room across the way and literally tries to murder Tom Hanks with the crossbow.
Great gag again.
Yeah.
Another visual with the
Oh, yeah.
arrow hits the
Boom.
wall, and they just like that perfect. Another great use of Hanks' comedy.
Yes.
Perfect nonchalant. Like that's not good. Or I can't remember
No,
the exact line.
it's the timing of it. He's like, well, what's that? And he's just like, I don't know. And the other one, what about that one? It's
That was
just,
it, yeah.
Oh, so good.
Again,
Anyway,
great.
So when he goes across the street, that hotel room is a practical set. If you look at it, like, and I just found that very interesting that they were like, okay, we're gonna build this big huge set, but we're gonna use a practical set for the little one across the street.
Maybe they didn't have enough money to build another
I guess
set.
maybe not. I don't know.
They didn't look like that. I mean, they spent.
They probably, in all reality, they probably shot it the same night or the same time that they were shooting
The
the
exteriors,
hallways of
yeah.
like the real hotel. And
Oh,
stuff
that makes
like
sense.
So they were like, all right, let's just get him in here and shoot this scene.
It was perfect because it was a different. You know, it was the hotel across the street, so
Right.
it could look completely different.
Exactly.
Actually, kind of smart on their part,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, the lighting was very broad.
Oh man, it was so bright. Which I appreciate.
What else? Oh, okay. This is another way. It's a transgender transvestite joke.
Okay.
So didn't care for the. the joke, but the execution. Here's where another moment where they actually use the filmmaking to their advantage.
Okay.
It's where Gary, the wormy guy, like turns around, and we have that nice. It's relatively basic filmmaking, but we get that push in, and the music sting actually comes in, and we get the push in on our transvestite.
Right.
And the actor's line reading of just like hello. It was like. Good job. Like, I don't care for the joke, but you executed it as good as you could.
And we all see the joke coming a mile away.
Yes. Yeah. There's still no joke that's a surprise in this movie.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah.
Maybe the arrow. The second arrow.
The second arrow was pretty funny.
That's probably the highlight of the film.
That's the comedically highlight of the movie.
That or the proctology coming out of the ass.
We haven't even talked about the donkey show.
Yeah, I've been... Maybe that's the way we can kind of wrap this up.
Okay. All right.
What is this kind of movie's obsession with donkey shows?
With donkey shows? I think
and maybe it's not as prevalent as I think it is, but I'm thinking...
No, I think it is. I think in the 80s there was a lot of isn't bestiality funny?
Yeah, because
type of movies. You know?
It makes sense that Kevin Smith in Clerks 2 does it because that's the movies he grew up on.
Right.
What's the deal with the donkey shows?
I think specifically in this movie, there were times when I could hear the writers sitting around pitching jokes.
Apparently, you know what I mean? and just to dive in here, apparently this was loosely based on a real bachelor party.
On one of the producers' real bachelor party. Yeah. And that's fine, but there are times when you can kind of hear the writers in the room pitching jokes, and they make it in. You know, specifically the potato salad one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's one of the writers in the room being and you should walk out with a potato salad with real potatoes in it. They're like, Neil, that's amazing. Let's do that. But I feel like with the donkey show, it's another scenario where they're like, listen, we got to keep topping.
It's true.
All of these bachelor party tropes. And so, what is the ultimate bachelor party trope? Oh, well, a donkey show. You know?
I get that. It's if you're going to do a movie called Bachelor Party, you probably need that just for the iconography.
Right.
So, I don't take issue with this movie specifically having it. It's just, it seems like it was a really big thing back then.
Pretty prevalent.
It was that's the funniest thing we can think of.
Yeah.
For a whole decade.
Yeah. And then the donkey does cocaine. See, you know what I mean? It's like you can hear middle-aged white guys
thinking this
out loud.
Yeah.
Listen, they're gonna bring in a donkey, but then the donkey does cocaine, and then the donkey dies, and so they just put it in the elevator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's at that point, it's just shtick. We've passed the point of dickhead comedy and just gone straight into shtick.
Well, you need the shtick to keep topping itself too, because your movie's not doing any dramatic propulsion, so it has to be sight gags.
Yeah.
It's the only thing you have going that continues to increase.
Yeah.
And I think it actually kind of works because about halfway through the movie, I'm still not enjoying it, but it at least feels like it's moving again.
Sure.
Once the girls show up, and
by the way, cleanest hookers in cinema history. Just also most polite, very professional pimps, very transactional, very just...
very reasonable, actually.
Very reasonable. $50 to change your plan? Sure, yeah, no problem.
Comes down himself and is like, hey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't send the bodyguard immediately.
No.
It's hey, maybe I should just tell this guy.
I'll check it out myself. Hold on. Don't send the muscle immediately.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked. Yeah, with the donkey show. And doesn't one of the friends end up with the donkey show woman at the end? Doesn't he have his arm around her? Isn't the stupid guy?
Rudy, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's really into. Yeah, there's the woman who's, I guess she's courting the donkey.
No, that donkey's gonna fuck her.
No, I know, but they never get that far.
No, they never get that far.
Yeah.
But
she's planning on fucking. Well, it makes sense then that she goes with Rudy because he's the closest thing to a donkey,
All right,
in the room.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just her specific interest. I guess she's the one who is into bestiality.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I guess that's how that ends. I guess that's funny.
Listen, I'm telling you, it's funny. Oh, another thing I love about this movie: the poster, painted by the famous Drew Struzan.
I think the poster is more fondly remembered than the movie. Like that's the thing that's got to stick out.
Yeah.
Because it looks like a fun movie when
Yeah.
you look at the poster.
Absolutely.
It's got that very. I mean, that leg. Just I think.
I mean, it's a play on The
Graduate,
Graduate.
yeah.
Absolutely. But it's fun 80s.
Yeah.
Drew Struzan.
What else has Struzan done? I'm sure I'm familiar.
Struzan's done everything. Struzan did all the Indiana Jones.
Oh fuck yeah! This guy's amazing.
Yeah, all the Star Wars prequels, which were the best part of the movie, was the poster. He did the first Harry Potter. Okay, here's the. I'm gonna go off on a little Struzan tangent here. Maybe no one's interested.
Struzan tangent.
Okay, so you can pinpoint the exact moment that the art of movie posters turned to all the crappy Photoshop jobs that we see.
Floating heads.
Floating heads.
Even though Struzan has floating heads, but they totally work.
Right. And it is the point between the first Harry Potter and the second Harry Potter. Because Struzan did the first Harry Potter poster, and it's classic Struzan. You know it. It's got Harry Potter in the middle. It's got everybody around. It's very artistic. It's very beautiful. The second poster he actually did a painting for, a comp for the studio. They turned it down in favor of the Photoshopped heads, and it's been Photoshopped heads ever since.
And it probably, a lot of it does have to do with the success of Harry Potter.
Absolutely.
That sucks.
Yep.
Because now you only get those cool posters when it's like...
When they're doing like a throwback.
Yeah, or here's something for the fans, or here's like, it's not our real poster.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's one of those things now where it's like, everybody's used to the taste of glucose and Mountain Dew. So you go back and people like, oh, I'm buying the throwback Mountain Dew, but like, you're only really doing it to show off.
Right.
And it's like, we're all actually kind of used to the glucose. So it's like, if we legitimately changed it back, it would not do as well. So it's like, we're in that shitty situation.
Exactly. We're screwed. Photoshop screwed us. All right, end of Struzan tangent.
All right, I think I have one or two more things I liked about this movie. Just going to the introducing the girls at the dance shop, or no, the clothing shop. They're all dancing.
Yes.
I was like, here's an interesting texture that doesn't have much to do, but I thought it was fun.
We talked earlier about how this movie was completely sincere. And again, this is a conversation I had with my girlfriend last night. She was like, "What is this scene?" She was like, "Is this supposed to be funny?" Because she's your age, and she was like, "Is this supposed to be funny?" And I was like, "No, you don't understand. This is just them introducing the world that this woman lives in." Yeah, and I'm like, "There's no irony here. It's not like kitschy '80s because this is like when this movie came out and that scene came out. That was like the epitome of hip. Like that was fucking cutting edge. That shop. It wasn't like American Apparel throwback. It was like legit, like that's the fucking hippest clothing store.
That's where you want to be, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, it was just that sincerity of it.
Yeah, and I think I grabbed onto it because it felt like genuine characterization too. And to dive into a negative thing,
oh boy.
I think that's the one thing. I don't even know if you can attribute that to Debbie. Like, can you name a personality trait of Debbie that isn't the most stock character trait?
She's got trust issues.
Really?
I mean, there's the entire plot of the movie is predicated on the fact that she doesn't trust a completely trustworthy guy.
Tom Hanks. I don't trust Tom Hanks.
So that doesn't speak well for their marriage, but that's another movie. But yeah, I mean, she's kind of milquetoast, but she's there to serve the plot of the movie.
She is the epitome of the sexy lamp.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Which again is when this movie was made, this is what the movie was made to do.
It was a product of another time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They could get away with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. It's like,
ooh, does this movie pass the Bechdel test?
I was trying to think because they talk about men almost exclusively. Even in that first scene, because they're talking about the guy getting dressed, you got engaged. They're at the hot dog thing. We never even dived into the whole male strip club.
If it does happen, I bet you it happens in the shower scene.
There's a shower scene?
The
bridal shower
scene.
Right. Yeah, but it's probably what they're talking. They passed the Bechdel test right before the hookers come in.
Yeah, the hookers come in. So it's like
probably just narrowly escape. See, it's not a sexist movie. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we talked about the evolution of comedy, the jokes, the donkey. What's the donkey fascination? We landed somewhere with that. I talked about how this movie makes me dislike Hanks An impossible feat.
Sorry for that. I'm sorry.
I know. I'm a little hurt inside, and when you came in, because he borrowed the DVD from me. I didn't want to give away my opinion I don't know how obvious it was coming off, but like my impulse was to grab it. It's like, oh thanks, and they just shove it right in the gut almost immediately. Anything else you can think of to say about Bachelor Party?
I think you and I right now have probably had the most in-depth conversation about this movie ever. I don't think even scholars of 80s films have had as in-depth of a conversation about this.
Well, I know we thought about it more than the filmmakers
Sure.
did.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? They were like, oh yeah, Bachelor Party, yeah. We made that back in the summer of 83. It was a lot of fun. We went out drinking every night. What were you saying? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm coming down definitely firmly. I think because I feel like I've done this a lot. Maybe it's just we've had a lot of stinkers lately. Mm-hmm. But there's been movies like The Great Buck Howard where it's so boring that I don't like it, but Hank shows up and I like it. There's good stuff in it.
Right.
There's stuff I like in it. It's just very boring.
Mm-hmm.
There's movies like Cloud Atlas where it has great ambition, but it's so convoluted I don't like it.
Right.
This movie I actively dislike.
Really?
So I think I think I would rather watch The Man with One Red Shoe again before I watch this.
Man with One Red Shoe I enjoy as well.
It's goofy. It's bad, but it's goofy.
Yeah.
And I mean, Carrie Fisher.
Of course.
Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although I prefer The Burbs.
Yeah.
So,
I'll go along with you on that.
Yeah.
I will say, I know that you actively dislike this movie. Mm-hmm. But as somebody who loves it,
please,
I'm going to give you the secret to liking this movie.
Tell me.
Just let it be what it is.
I think that's my problem with it. Yeah. And I want to be better.
You want it to be more. You want it to be better. You want it to live up to the Hanks that you know and love. But you know what? It just is what it is.
I think you're right. And I think personally, like, I love comedy and I feel like a comedy guy. But, like, if it's... I very rarely, like, love and attach myself to just straight comedies. Mm-hmm. I usually want a little something more, even if it's just, like, a little bit more... intelligence within the movie.
Sure.
I don't mean it has to be a satire or commentary or anything, but just like it's so base level. It's perfect if you're 15 years old and don't have the internet.
Right.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Cool. Fantastic. That's Bachelor Party. I would not recommend it.
I would.
And that's perfect. There needs to be movies in the world that you can agree to disagree on.
Sure.
And this is a first for me anyway, for Hanks, and kind of wish he wasn't in this movie. Every other one we've done, even the movies I don't like, I'm still glad he's in it. This is the first time.
Wow.
I wish he wasn't there. Yeah. And I think it's, again, fundamental miscasting.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks so much.
Absolutely.
For being on the show, Kevin. Where can people find you?
You can find me on BuzzFeed. You can also find me on Twitter at K McShane. Also Instagram at K McShane.
All right.
KevinMcShane.org.
And BuzzFeed Kevin Facebook
BuzzFeed
page.
Kevin Facebook page. Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. All the stuff, and we'll put that all in the show notes. So go to splotstudios.com to find that. You can follow me at Elvis Kunesh. Follow the show at tomhankspod. That's where we'll do some funny Throwback Thursday Hank stuff. Tell you what's coming next, and. Of course, next week, we are looking at the 1990 Brian De Palma film, Bonfire of the Vanities. This one is fascinating, guys. It's only $3 on Amazon Instant. Please check it out. It's a wild ride. I really enjoyed it, but it's been known to be a disaster. So I'm really curious about what you think. It's got a cast that rivals Saving Private Ryan. No crying Nathan Fillion, but... there is Tom Hanks, of course, with Bruce Willis, Melanie Griffith, Kim Cattrall, Morgan Freeman, countless others. Geraldo Rivera, who we didn't even mention in the episode, shows up. And baby Kirsten Dunst. That's right. She was in something before Jumanji. My mind was just as blown as yours is right now. So check that out. Bonfire of the Vanities next week. Until then, thanks for listening.
Tom Hanks, we fell in love with you, Tom Hanks. Just like so many do deeply, because you made us smile, and your great on-screen style. So that's why we give thanks, 'cause you got a friend in Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks.
Screws and tangent.